At a time of deep division in today's society, we must come together for humanity's sake. On Can We Talk 360, we strive to stimulate an authentic conversation on issues that affect all of us in an environment of tolerance. I am Eugene Pettis, attorney and community servant. Let's discover how there is strength in our differences and an abundance of possibilities when we stand together as one humanity. When we last spoke, I shared with you all that I had been diagnosed with lymphoma cancer, and I promised to share my journey with you so that, again, we can be authentic and we can share not just in the jubilant times of life, but we can share in some of the valley moments. So I wanted to give you an update. Over the last 5 months, I've been going through chemotherapy down at Sylvester Cancer Center. Anybody who's been through that recognize it's a trying time in life. Never did I believe that I would go through such a journey. But in the midst of that storm, it's amazing some of the lessons that I've learned. As I've gone through really what's been 3 separate types of chemotherapy treatment, because my cancer was very aggressive. It was in my spinal column. And the concern obviously was that they wanted to make sure it did not communicate with my brain. So 2 of the treatments were directed to make sure that didn't occur. And the other was to address directly the tumor that was in my abdominal area. When you're going through such a diagnosis, the mind carries you places, some that are not really favorable. You think about the fact that you're not invincible. You think about the risk that you can leave behind all that you have built, and you may not get to the things that you pushed off into the future. We have a way in this society, in America in particular, of planning for your retirement when you get to be 65, 70, 75, whatever the select age is. And when these types of things happen, it kind of creates disorder of our plans. And it shows how little control we really have in planning beyond the moment we have at hand. But it also brings about challenges because my particular case, I've been hospitalized a number of times for treatment. And the journey becomes very lonely. It's one of those occasions where you can feel alone in a crowded room. When it's your life, when it's your walk, when it's your health that you're talking about, there are some lonely parts of that journey, and that's something that I think is a common thread, but something that we just need to be prepared on handling. I'm pleased. Feel extremely blessed to share what's really the most exciting news, and that is that approximately 5 weeks ago, I went in after a PET scan. The PET scan is the gold standard, if you will, of looking at looking at your body, and it will highlight everywhere there is cancer. Previously, the PET scan showed it was localized. There's anxiety. When you take those types of tests, you're praying that it's still where it was and it's shrunk and that it has not metastasized. And I went to my doctor, Dr. Losos, down at Sylvester University of Miami with expectation that the tumor had shrunk some, and come to find out, not only had it shrunk, but it has gone in remission. That was blessing in disguise from above. That was way above schedule. It was so dramatic until the piece, and I shared this with you all, the piece in my spine that was about 3 centimeters that touched my sciatic nerve, that gave me the signal something was wrong, could not even be found on the PET scan. Some call it a miracle. I call it God's grace and blessings over my life. But to go from 3 centimeters signaling that something's wrong in your body, leading to the diagnosis, to the fact that they can't even find it is truly phenomenal. And while I still have a little ways to go over the next month and a half, I'm in remission. My body is continuing to get stronger, and there's so many things that I'm going to share with you over time of reflections and motivational moments that I've gained through through this journey. But I wanted to update you on my condition and not leave that out. But today I want to talk to you about in trying times, friendships are like medicine. One of the early lessons that I have learned is that among life's certainties and uncertainties, it's guaranteed over the course of your life, you're going to likely have a season in which you're going to need to lean on someone. No matter how strong, no matter how much money you have, no matter how healthy you have been, if you live long enough, you're going to have a season in life that you got to call upon somebody besides yourself. You need someone to help you along life's journey other than just relying on yourself. And I'm a very independent type person, but I'll tell you that this challenge has taken me to that place where I can't just rely on my strengths. I couldn't just rely on my drive and self-confidence. That I've learned something that'll be a lesson that I take away from this, that'll be a life changer. One of the things that can make the journey more difficult is to try to travel it alone. The opposite is true as well. One of the things that can make it a little easier is to have someone, a friend, family members, a host of others that help you walk through that journey. One of the things that I have been most amazed at is how many friends and acquaintances connect with me on a daily basis. It's been shocking. It's been a surprise to know that so many people care about you, that check in with you. And it's been a great lift, if you will, that I've had on occasion. I tell my wife that seems like every day God sends somebody else to me to send me a text message or to call. I'm never left alone. If it's simply someone calling and saying, hey, how you doing? I'm thinking about you. There's connection, and humans need human touch and through communication and connections. One of the things that the lessons that I've taken away, if you can be a friend before you need a friend, you will have more than enough moral support and spiritual support. If you can be a friend before you need a friend, we cannot allow going through life being selfish and not touching other people's lives. A lot of the people that have touched my life have been people who I touched their lives in some form or fashion. It didn't have to be in sickness. It could have just been in kindness. It could have just been in a multitude of ways. But when you take time to be a friend, in times of need, you'll have a friend. So that's the motivational moment that I want to share with you today. That's just been remarkable to see it unfold in what clearly has been my most challenging chapter of life, in what I called a valley moment. When you're going through a serious crisis such as cancer, you're in the valley. You're in the valley. You're not on the peak of the mountain looking out, but friends, among other things, and I'll talk on another episode regarding faith, but friends help you get through those valley moments. But you have to do the work during the times. You have to cultivate the relationships during the good times by pausing in our busy lives and just through all the technology that we have, whether it's a call, it's a text, it's an email, or an old-fashioned card, let people know that you thought about them. And it's so moving to see the returns on that and to hear some of the things that have been shared I'm so thankful that I paused long enough in life to lift others so that I didn't have to be alone on this journey. If you want to be prepared for the storm that's going to come in your life, and there will be storms, whether it's financial, whether it's relationship, whether it's family, there's a multitude of challenges we face while we're on this earth. It's just as we here in South Florida during the hurricane season make sure that if we hear a hurricane is coming, we button up our house. We put boards up, we put the shutters down, we make sure the house is safe. And you do that before you're in the storm. You don't go out there when the eye is crossing the house to try to do those things. You'll be blown away. I give you that as an analogy because the same is true in preparing your life for what's going to be some darker days, valley moments. You need to prepare your life, and just as we prepare our homes to withstand and anchor our lives against those chapters. So thank you for allowing me to share those thoughts with you. Again, thanks for joining us on Can We Talk 360. We're going to be more active. I feel better since I'm recovering. And as a result of it, I'm back in the studio and sharing some lessons learned, because I think they're not just lessons that I learned, but they're lessons that can be utilized in multitude of different circumstances by all of us. And we need to learn from each other. So in trying times, friendships are like medicine, and we need to make sure we cultivate that so that we can be a friend before we need a friend. Thank you so much for joining me, and please stay tuned for future episodes of Can We Talk 360.
The law firm of Halitzer, Pedersen Schwam is a proud sponsor of the Can We Talk 360 podcast. Our firm handles medical malpractice, wrongful death, catastrophic personal injury litigation, and workers' compensation matters. We pride ourselves in being advocates for justice on behalf of those who have been seriously injured. For decades, we've taken the lead in making your case our priority. It's who we are. It's who we'll always be. Halitzer, Pedersen Schwam. Serious injuries, proven results.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Can We Talk 360. I sincerely hope that you were inspired to seize this moment in time and take real action towards change. Remember, all change begins with a conversation. Be sure to tune in every month for more fascinating discussions and motivational food for the soul. Please share with your friends, family, and colleagues. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Can We Talk 360, and visit us on the web at www.canwetalk360.com.